Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Welcome to the August 11th, 2022 Planning Board meeting. First on the agenda for a public hearing is Suez Water, Chateau Wells, 59 McNear Drive. Mike, Rich, and Pat, I don't believe you had any comments?
Just that they got their necessary variances from the zoning board. We got a bunch of comments at the zoning board that were actually planning comments, and the variances noted on the plan, so.
Thank you. And thanks for distributing those minutes. Rich?
No comments.
No comments here, they're on for public hearing.
Okay. Anyone from the public wish to be heard on this? Okay. I assume you were at the zoning board meeting?
Yes.
Ron, yes, yeah.
Yes.
So I look at this in a couple of ways, and I like to just have the board put in their thoughts on it also. I look at it as it's an improvement in water. It's being mandated by the state. So I think what this board's job, and I think what we've been doing for several months now, is work on the size of the building, the aesthetics of the building, the noise of the building, the traffic in and out. I saw a lot of those same concerns raised in the minutes of, in preparation for tonight, the board read through the minutes of the zoning board. Maybe you can give us a summary covering those topics, just once again for our eyes and ears as to why is the building the size it is. Just a summary. We've gone through this. It's a little repetitive, but I want to at least, I want everyone listening and watching to hear it. The traffic, how often the filters are going to be changed. I know most of these answers, by the way, but I think it'd be good if you could just summarize.
Okay. All of us will probably be answering these questions. You know Ramya Ramanathan, who can talk to you mostly about the site plan. We also have Steve Garabed, who's the project manager for Suez Veolia, can answer any of the technical questions. Essentially, we are required by the State Health Department to install a filtration system. It's quite similar to the kind of filtration system you might put on your home faucet, a Brita filter, except it's quite large, and there's more than one of them. The building has to be sized accordingly for those filters. There have been issues about the look of the building and the visibility of the building. Changes have been made to the design of the building and the appearance. Changes have been made to the landscaping to make it better. Changes have been made, for instance, there's an existing building there and an existing generator, and those will be painted to match the new building so that the whole installation is much more appropriate to the area. There have been questions about how often do we have to change the filters? This is a little bit new. We think maybe once a year. They will be brought in on a flatbed trailer. We've worked on the best way to do that, to try to use the existing driveways, because the wells themselves are actually fairly far down in the woods. And we can give a little more detail about that if you'd like. But mostly what we've done is to try and address all of the questions. You mentioned noise, for instance, and actually the pumps that make any noise at all are down in the well shafts, which are not in this building. They are existing now. We don't anticipate any change, and we don't know of any complaints we've ever gotten about noise. Is there anything else we could add to that?
Let me ask the board if they have any other questions. I know we've read this many times.
Yeah, so the only thing in the buildings will be the filters themselves, so everything else mechanical would be lower than that?
I'm going to ask Steve. That's my understanding. But,
Okay.
you know, there's a certain amount of pipe work and electrical and
Thank
everything
you.
else, so I want to make sure. Is this one working?
Yes.
So actually, John hit the nail on the head. We'll have a pre-filter, a bag filter to take out any sediment ahead of the carbon filters. We'll have some electrical equipment, instruments, piping, things of that nature are going to be inside the building. And then after the water is treated, it goes into the current building where there's storage tanks, and then it gets pumped out to the distribution system.
So no noise, really, just the filtration, I mean, no mechanical
Correct.
noises, right?
There are no other pumps or anything. I think Mike had asked in one of the meetings before about sound levels. Actually, I stopped by tonight. I got readings between 45 and 51 decibels. And actually, the 51 decibels was further away, almost by the property line, and it was saying that it was insects. So, and you know, there's birds and things of that nature. So, anyway, just to give you an idea of the level of noise that currently exists.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
What about when you backwash the filters? I mean, I know that's not done often, but what about when
Will it?
trucks come in?
Are you asking if it's going to be noisier?
Yeah.
It's
When they're doing that process?
it'll be a busy site. I'll tell you that. It's a big event when we have to do it. It's
For hours, for days, for how long does it take you to do that process?
I'm going to say days. I say days. We'll be on site. It's a little tricky because we're going to have to. We don't have a lot of volume of water out at the site. We can't get it out of those wells. Those wells just don't have the capacity. So we are going to have to bring a water tanker out to the site. We're going to backwash. That backwash water will go into a frac tank. That frac tank will then have to be sampled. So it'll take some time to go through the whole process. So that's why we're saying, I mean, it should be about every year. It could be longer than that. It all depends on a few things. One is, how long it takes before you start to get any what they call breakthrough. So you start to detect any PFAS compounds coming out of the first, the vessels. There's two vessels. We call it the lead vessel and the lag vessel. So the lead vessel is going to get dirty faster. And when you start to detect any PFAS compounds coming out of that, then you're going to start planning to change it. So it all remains to be seen under actual conditions how quickly that's going to happen. Based upon the bench scale testing that we've done to date, we expect it's going to be somewhere between a year and 2 years before we're going to need to do that. But again, until you get out there, you truly don't know.
So with the houses that might be around there, would they be notified that this is going to happen before it happens? If it's going to be a couple days' worth?
We could. Typically operations notifies folks when we're going to do something that could impact them. John spoke to the driveways. I mean, the ECB board asked us to reduce the driveway size, and we looked at that for quite some time. We wanted to do that. But with the trucks, having to bring in tanker trucks of water and frac tanks and the carbon trucks and stuff, we just have to have a place to put them. And so we needed the driveways to be as big as they are so we can get those vehicles off the road.
So they won't be in the cul-de-sac during that process?
Correct.
Could you avoid weekends?
Yes.
I think that should be noted, that we'd like the neighbors notified and to avoid weekends, of course, unless it's an emergency. It'd be a shame if someone's having a barbecue
Right.
and you start flushing it, so I think we'd like to add that to the notes, Pat, if you don't mind. Notify neighbors and try to avoid weekends, of course, emergencies.
It's emergency. I agree.
Rami, I know you spent a lot of time on the landscaping, and again, I'm reviewing this again because of the comments at the zoning board. Can you, Green Giants, a lot of tree, 50, 60 feet, can you just summarize what's going to be done with the landscaping, please?
Sure. So as far as the landscaping is concerned, from a ZBA point of view, residents had come in and they had concerns about the aesthetics primarily, that it looked very industrial. And we took that into account and Primarily what we've done is add a few windows so it breaks the monotonous facade and just gives it a more residential look. That's primarily the only change that we have done, sorry about that, to the rendering. And as far as the landscaping is concerned, we have tried to screen as much as possible between the neighbors on this side and the property line. So it's as much as we could, we filled it with junipers, that are thin and tall, that would screen properly. Yeah. So we've looked at that really well, and we've tried to address it to the extent we could. So if we've screened it, we're going to match the colors are going to blend with the surrounding, and yep.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'll offer it one more time. Anyone from the public wish to be heard on this?
Mr. Chairman, being there's no comment from the public, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Pat, can you prepare a resolution, please? Sure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a
Thank
great
you.
evening.
Thank you for your due diligence on this. Anthony was just saying that did a nice job.
Thank you so much.
Next on the agenda is Liberty New York Water, 23 General MacArthur Drive, site plan. Mike?
Yeah, there are 3 variances required from the zoning board, lot area, lot width, and off-street parking. Is there a reason you're not giving any off-street parking? They have a long driveway, well, not long, but it's a driveway. I guess they could park in the driveway, and that's what it looks like they're planning on doing, but, I mean, if they have to get in there and somebody has to pass, we really do usually ask for some sort of a pull-off spot. If
Yeah.
it's something they can't do or shouldn't do, then the variance can be granted by the zoning board, that's fine.
Good point. Thank you. Rich?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Applicant has noted their referrals to the County DOH, Environmental Conservation Board, and Fire Department. They identified that they have noted that the permits from the DOH are required for well and for treatment systems. They provided a stormwater pollution prevention plan, which is under review. The applicant should note that that a performance bond associated engineering fee is minimally required for stormwater management practices, erosion and sediment control, and drainage features, so they do need to provide information on that. Notes should be added to the drawing with regards to the landscaping plan, all plantings verified by the town wetlands inspector, and all plantings being installed per section 142 of the town code. I put a laundry list of generic comments at the back end of it. So the applicant wrote back that it was a private system, and and some of them didn't matter. My only concern is if in the event that the private company is unable to meet its obligations to supply water to the town, to the supply water, the town may have to take over that system, so they should at least try to address some of those issues if they are adding those appurtenances. So that's all I would ask that they do. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Pat?
So the applicant did a good job of responding to issues. As you heard previously, issues like noise and lighting were already addressed by the applicant in the initial submission, so they did a good job. The clarification with respect to the zoning issues, the building itself complies to the setback, but as Michael indicated, the existing site itself is non-conforming, so there's pre-existing conditions that need relief, but it really doesn't affect the layout or the configuration of the building. We did get clarification of some of the tree removal and landscaping. So there's about 13 trees that need to be removed. Turns out that there's a fairly large maple tree, I think a 30-inch maple tree, in an area of grading, not where the building's going. So the question simply is, could that single tree be preserved by welling around it during the grading process? There is new landscaping that's provided on the side of the building, but if you look at the next sheet, the nearest residence is sort of below the building. So if that landscaping were to hang a dog leg and wrap around the bottom of the building, that would add an additional level of screening for that neighbor below. So another 2 or 3 trees, I think, would benefit from additional landscaping. Other than that, the applicant's done a good job of addressing the issues.
Thanks, Pat. And you'll get all these comments if you haven't already. Rose, you can call Rose in the office to get a lot of these, get all the comments.
Okay.
Do you want to speak to any of the comments now before I turn it over to the board?
I mean, I don't know if you want me to just quickly run through some of the changes that we made, although I think we kind of went through a
No, you
little
can
bit.
summarize first.
Introduce yourself in
Yes, so I'm Jessica Alves. I work with H2M on behalf of Liberty New York Water. And what we're proposing is for a new PFAS treatment, which, you know, I'm sure you guys are very seasoned with at this point. This is a much smaller building, so we did provide a traffic plan. We don't propose that any large trucks are going to be coming onto this site, similar to what they were mentioning before. We're estimating every 2 years we're going to need to change out one vessel, and that doesn't require us bringing a new vessel to site. They are just going to have probably just like a small, I don't want to say small truck, but it's not an 18-wheeler, with carbon loaded on it. It'll take the old carbon out and load the new carbon in. That
Can I
should be
ask how
every
many
2 years.
people this supply water to? Because I'm just trying
Roughly
to correlate,
80.
because the one before was, I think, 100, how many?
Roughly like 80,
Okay,
79
so the one,
homes.
the applicant before you was 180,
Okay.
just to put it in
That's-
perspective. Okay.
And I don't know what their flows are, but the maximum flow that we can get out of these wells is like roughly 45 gallons a minute, and I think they typically range somewhere between 25 and 38 gallons a minute, so that might also affect the difference in sizes for the vessels. But yes, we are proposing to remove 13 trees. I can definitely talk with our civil engineers to see if there's anything we can do about the maple tree, because it is quite large. And we can definitely add the 2 extra trees at the south portion of the site. Other than that, the only thing I think, the only 2 things I think I want to add is we are on the agenda for the Environmental Conservation Board meeting next week. At least when I spoke to Rosa, she had indicated that to me. We are getting close to our health department approval. I'm hoping tomorrow I get it, but I have to speak with them again. And then as far as the comments from the town engineer regarding some of the items, I will have to double check, because we honestly may be specifying some of these things. I know we use Mueller and things like that. It might not be the exact same model, but I can verify that for you and discuss with the client, because they have their own standards that they like to follow. But I can discuss with them if they are, you know, comfortable with switching up the models and stuff.
Or it could be an as similar or similar, right? So
Yeah.
So that,
I know
that
they
that would be,
definitely-
that would suffice, as long as it's similar to what we're requesting. Some of these models might be a little older. There might be a newer version of it, so
Yeah,
to speak.
I
So-
know we definitely specify Mueller, so if there are a few site valves, Mueller will be used. That's typically what we specify for these
Right,
projects.
and then it's the way you turn it on and off. It has to kind of conform to what the town we want, so.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, so I don't know if there's anything in particular.
Do you have a rendering of what it
I
will look like?
don't have the rendering with me today. The building is going to match the existing building that's there. I know I had it last meeting. I don't think I brought it with me today. I just brought the set of plans
I think
for.
I saw that a while ago.
Yeah, I just brought the set of plans that I had resubmitted, but it's gonna be like a grayish building with a green metal seam roof to sort of just match the existing building and the surrounding area. Yes, with a very brown door.
Can I recommend you ask to be referred to ZBA?
Okay,
They have to refer you, so.
I believe
Do you think they're ready? I didn't mean to.
Yeah. Comments? We could also schedule a public hearing in parallel. I mean, I think it's the same thing we've been doing our due diligence on with building appearance, noise, traffic, the landscaping you heard again today, the building appearance you heard today that you sat through, you know, and they were here months ago, right? So you're getting the benefit of our running along with you. Can we,
Actually, Mr. Chairman, in order to do that, I'd like to make sure we have a rendering, not only for us, but for the public. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, so that, just
We'll
so
have it
everybody
for the
can see,
public
get a
hearing,
visual.
yeah.
on
you
it.
can bring it back, and is there any reason why we can't schedule have the zoning board review it at the same time?
Make a referral to the zoning board of appeals.
Yeah.
make the referral to the zoning board of appeals, we should do that. And I guess we don't have a
Next
second meeting
meeting's the
this month.
second week
so
in
we're talking
September, so I think it should
So
time out right.
They won't be on until the end of September.
Second week is, oh, because of zoning board?
ZBA.
So then why don't, you could schedule it for your first October meeting, how about that?
We really need you to see the zoning board before we schedule a public hearing. It'll make the meeting go smoother.
It's up to you. You can send them out to October or wait till they come back. But again, I think we've gotten a good handle on these technologies.
I think, as we're all saying here, I think they're ready. That's why I'm trying to speed up the process a little bit for you. But
I
unfortunately,
appreciate
we're
it.
against the end of August, and then the zoning board only meets once a month. So let's make a referral to the zoning board.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to motion to make refer this case to the zoning board.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
And we'd also like to schedule a public hearing after you get to the zoning board.
Okay.
So should we make that motion at that time, right?
Yeah. Pat, does that work? Mike, does that work for you, Rich?
And by
Well,
then,
It had nothing to do with it, so.
yeah, and by then they can get the variance and put the note on the map, and then that'll be my comment. They got the variance and the notes on the map.
Yeah. I thought the notes from the last zoning board meeting for the previous applicant was helpful.
And you're on ECB next week, right?
Okay?
And county permits are coming, so it'll all be a nice little buttoned-up package, so to speak, so.
And to Anthony's point, although we did see it previously for the public and for, that will be here at the meeting.
Yep.
And for anyone on TV, please bring the renderings back.
Yep, not a problem.
Okay?
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.